This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Amplified.
Hey everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to another episode of Rooted Latinas. This episode is sponsored by Infinite Resources.
Yes.
Woo, woo.
Yes, a podcast where we share our journey of adapting from a Latino household to life in the U.S., discussing challenges, transforming obstacles, and celebrating personal growth. We are your hosts, Maria Rocha.
Mariana Hernandez.
Rocío Hermosillo.
Y Jamie Tovar.
Woo! How you ladies doing?
Good.
It's been a minute.
You guys all look like you're tanned.
Yeah, girl.
Just a little.
Miami did as well.
Yeah, that looked amazing, by the way.
It was so awesome.
It was, girl. But we're only tan from one side.
Girl, like, why?
Tell them what
How did that
happened.
happen?
That's another story for another
We couldn't fit all in one umbrella, so
Oh, my goodness.
Half of us were out.
Girl, I kid you not. Half of my body, and I showed the ladies, it's bad. Like, I'm like red.
lobster red.
Half the
Lobster,
body.
like
Okay.
Larry the lobster red. I was SpongeBob. I'm not like.
Yeah.
Why didn't you rotate? Like,
I
you
thought I
physically.
did.
Like, your chair.
Honestly, once you're there and just relaxing, like I
You
didn't
don't wanna
even know.
move it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks
didn't
for
even
that.
That is hilarious. Half of you.
Y'all, it is officially spooky season.
It's October.
I love October.
Yes.
It's
I
one of my
love
favorite
Halloween.
ones.
I love dressing
too.
up.
What's your
Love fall.
favorite costume you've dressed up as?
Oh, that's a good question.
The naughty nurse. No, just kidding. I actually
You
seen
did
that
a naughty
picture.
nurse?
No, hell no. I was just saying
I want to see
you.
a picture.
All right.
Oh, Little Red Riding Hood.
Oh,
I love
That's a
that.
cute one.
Yeah, I thought it was cute.
okay. So what are we talking about today, ladies? Outside of spooky season.
We're gonna chat about some of the scary stories we've heard that are true. No, I was kidding. But maybe they are. But from like our relatives and like, you know, some of them people say are myths. Como la llorona, chupacabra.
Las historias de México.
Oh, I heard some.
I would be scared.
Yeah. So has anyone here heard the llorona before, or somebody's family heard it?
My
Or
mom.
seen
Thankfully,
it?
no.
Your
My
mom?
mom, yeah. She tells us, and I don't know the whole detailed story, but she has told us that when she was pregnant with my oldest brother, she heard the llorona one night. It was really rainy, thundering, and she's like, She's like, I went into the room and ahí los quedamos.
No way. What'd she hear?
Just like llorona, llorona, llorona screaming like,
Mis hijos,
yes,
or something like that.
the typical way she says, right?
Is
End
that
up
how it
before
really-
I leave praying, y'all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it was my brother or my mom. I think it was my older brother. I think he said that this was in Perry, Iowa, but it was like late at night, and he went outside. And, like the backyard is like cornfields, and then there's like a wooded area. Yeah, and he said he heard it then.
Stop.
Llorona be
Mis
traveling.
hijos?
La Llorona, yeah, crying for her
That's
kids.
Close to home.
Yeah, I
I
thought that
thought
shit was only in
Mexico.
yeah.
That's why I said, I'm like, she traveling.
Yeah.
One-way ticket over
She's
here.
found us.
She's crossing the border. Yeah.
Oh my
So-
gosh. But that's scary. I
Yeah.
couldn't.
Have any of you seen like ghosts? Or
I've had
shadows. I feel like
Rocio,
you have.
you're keeping a secret from us.
No, I'm listening. I'm listening.
Tell
Are
us
you
your
scared?
experience.
Am I scared?
Yeah.
No, I'm not scared.
Okay.
But I don't like to focus on those things because I feel like you attract more of that.
Oh yeah.
That's
but
very
this is
true.
fun.
Yeah, this is a
this
safe
just for fun.
space.
That's so true because I played the Ouija board when I was in high school.
Girl.
No,
And we're
yeah.
done. Right? We're
Yeah,
out.
I was a junior in high school and we played it out. My friend used to live out in the country and we played it. Yeah, and I was asking, you're not supposed to ask it like when you're going to die and stuff like that. And I was asking questions like that. And then, so I drove home like scared, driving through like gravel road, headed back to the house. And then I used to sleep in the basement then. Like I had a bed in the basement. And I went to bed. And then all of a sudden, like I just couldn't fall asleep. And I could feel like weight on me, like a body on me. And I couldn't yell. Like I wanted to yell for my mom upstairs or like something, and I couldn't. And then eventually, I think I was out for hours, but eventually I just like my sleeping, like I finally got sleepy and fell asleep, but I literally couldn't. And since then, I'm like, yeah, I'm never fucking with that stuff again.
So what did you do? Did you like?
I couldn't do anything. I couldn't move. I was like paralyzed in my bed.
But after, like, did you cleanse yourself?
Yeah,
like, did you go to church? Oh, dang, I still
girl.
I'm just kidding.
I know. And for the longest time ever, like in the middle of the night, it hasn't happened for like a few years now, but I would wake up and like see like something in front of me, and then like smoke would go away.
Stop. Are you for real?
Yeah. Dead.
Yeah. Girl.
So that's
scary.
why I'm like, yeah, never would I play the Ouija board again.
Yeah, girl.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
What?
So I've seen other ones. It's like, tell us, girl.
So you're saying I'm holding. What do you mean?
Oh, no, because
So you're
I
moaning.
played it too. That's why. It was so scary. I was like, nope, never again.
What was the
you
question
played the
you
Ouija
asked?
board too?
Yes, girl.
When?
But I was like, I feel like I protected myself because I was like, I thought of it as a joke.
Oh.
I didn't really like focus full on it, but it moved. I don't know if it was just the people that were with me.
Yeah, it moves, yeah.
But no, I would never do it again. I think at that time I didn't know, like, you know, you really do attract. I thought it was, you know, yo pensaba que Dios me iba a proteger, which he did. He has.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that is scary. Thankfully, I didn't like have any.
Experience anything?
No,
Yeah.
I
What
didn't.
about you?
So I have a couple stories. I saw a duende. So in one of our home, a duende. It's like a, what do you?
A
what-
dwarf?
Yes.
Is that what you
Yeah.
call it?
Yes.
But like with the little elf ears.
Yeah, like a
Right?
a
Yeah.
troll.
Yeah,
Yes,
a
like
troll.
a
Yeah, there's a couple of names in English. So in one of our houses, which later we found out that an elderly woman passed away in her rocking chair in one of the porches. So for the first, I want to say, couple months, we would hear like patitas that would just run back and forth like at 3-4 in the morning. And one day,
Girl.
and one
I would
day,
not live there.
I know, right? And so one day I had got up to go to the restroom.
Yeah.
And so my room was in, so tenías que salir de la, so the room was in the, you had to go through the kitchen and then to the bathroom and to the dining area. And when I got up, the duende like stood in front of me, se paró en frente de mí, and he wouldn't let me go into the bathroom. And he was like running back and forth like this, like as a joke to him.
Wait, how old were you?
So I was a junior, sophomore or junior in high
So,
school.
Estabas
like-
That's not
consciente
that
a lo que
long
estaba
ago.
pasando, yeah.
No. Yeah, that's a long time. Well, for me, it's a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, I guess.
I thought you were like, oh, it's 5.
Yeah.
No.
So
You were
then we
like
could be
16,
we
right?
could be like she made it up. Like
Right.
she had a bad dream.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So I didn't think of it. No me sentí like, scared or anything. It was more like I was just looking at him. Y keep in mind, estaba como entre dormida y despierta.
Yeah.
But that made sense as to why would we hear little patitas running back and forth from la sala.
Oh my goodness.
And he just laughed and he left. Finally, he let me go into the restroom and he left.
Did you ever see him again?
I would have gone back to where I came from.
No.
What are
Never
they
seen
supposed to mean? I feel like I've heard 2 different stories.
You know what? I'm not really sure.
What'd you hear?
So the reason I say that is like one of my clients, actually someone we helped, remember?
Yeah.
That we were doing the final walkthrough and we went to the house, and usually during final walkthroughs we're just, opening everything up, making sure everything's fine. And we went through the house, everything looked good. We opened up all the closets, like todo bien. The sellers had taken everything out. So the next day we closed, and then they move into the home. Well, then that same day, my buyer calls me and she's like, Maria, she's like, I need you to call the sellers and tell them to come pick this up. Y era un
Dwarf. Or,
yes, in the closet.
Yeah.
That I have no idea how it got there, because we checked. Like I checked, she checked, her daughter checked. Like
I remember you showing me
Wait,
this.
so
yeah,
wasn't
remember, I
just
even
in
had the
trailer?
image. Yeah, the
you
picture of
She
it.
took a picture. It was
Yeah.
a random dwarf in the closet. No.
Yeah, it was
There's
just
a name for
there.
those. I forget what they're called.
Smurfs.
That's
I
what it
don't know why.
reminds me of.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Gnomes.
Gnomes.
Oh,
yes.
no. Yes, that's what it is.
So
It was gonna bug me.
Yes. So that was pretty crazy.
So wait, you didn't
Oh,
share what
so
it meant.
what it meant. So one, I'm trying to remember what she had told me because it was something bad. Like
Yeah.
it was no te deben de seguir. Like you should, whoever left it there has to go back and pick it up. Like you
she didn't
can't-
want to touch it.
Yeah, she didn't want to touch it. So I had the listing agent actually go back and pick it up.
I've never heard of that in my life.
Yeah, you shouldn't be getting rid of them.
You should reach out to the listing agent, see if she's experienced anything after touching it.
That's a good.
Oh yeah,
I
you
don't
follow
know,
up,
girl.
girl.
do
I'd rather not focus my energy on that. Bless and release. But yeah, no, that's crazy.
You had another story. You said you had a couple stories.
Yes, so I had moved out in with a couple of friends, and one day I was downstairs, and it was right when we had moved in, but we were downstairs and I was unpacking that day. I had gotten off work. So I was downstairs unpacking, and I was like dragging a bin, like a plastic bin of clothes, and all of a sudden I hear my name. Like someone yelled my name, and I froze and me quedé pensando for a little bit. I'm like, should I answer or not? And I just stayed quiet. I just ignored it because I've heard that when you have someone screaming your name and you're the only one there, you're not supposed to answer. So nomás me quedé callada. And then soon after, we had someone else moved in with us, and she saw a shadow, and it's the same shadow I had seen. And it was just a big dark man in a black cape shadow, and it was standing in front of like the entranceway to go downstairs.
Nope. I would have moved out.
I know, girl.
Day.
As soon as I experience stuff like that, I'm out.
Yeah.
Jeez, girls. Do you guys believe in imaginary friends? Like when you were little?
Like if you're crazy?
Like, no, I say that because, so one of my nephews, when they were little, I remember my madrina would tell me the story that, like, he had, like, an imaginary friend. Like, every time, like, they were going to go sit down and eat, he would make his mom make food for his friend. And he'd be playing with them, talking to him, like, doing everything. Well, then one day, the mom, had left the door open. And my nephew comes running out, like, why did you leave the door open? He just left. Like, you let my friend leave. And ever since then, like, he's never spoken to, like, he was gone.
Oh, dang.
So I've heard, like, stories online, too, like, when, like, kids talk about, like, you know, their past life and how they lived a whole nother life before they were born. I thought that was kind of creepy, too.
Yeah. No, it was somebody.
I've heard a couple of different reasons why like kids have imaginary friends. My mom tells me that it's their angels, like
Their guardian
playing
angel.
with them, or La Virgen de Guadalupe playing with them and protecting them.
I've also heard that just from a psychological perspective, it's something that they're trying to work through so that kids will do that, and it's normal for some kids to have imaginary friends.
Oh, interesting.
She's like, let's take La
Yeah,
Virgen
let's
Guadalupe out of the picture.
I'm going to go with La Virgen.
Let me go with the angels.
The scariest
What
one
about
that
you? Yeah.
I can remember, it was on a house on the south side. So this house was built like prior to the 1900s.
Yeah.
And you guys know those basements? You open the door from the outside and you walk down in. So it was like that old of a house. And I always shared a room with one of my sisters. Every weekend, you know, it's a limpiar. You're listening to music loud, you know. And so one of my cousins lived with us at that time and in that moment. And I remember, like, someone had turned up, like, le subieron a la música, like, hella loud.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, like, turn it down. You guys remember, like, the old school stereo boxes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, one of those big ones. Y nada. And then I'm like, hey, can you please turn it down? And I go to the room to see who's there. Well, there was no one there. And I'm like, who turned this up super loud? So I'm like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. Then at night, because again, the house is so old, cuando subes las escaleras, it was a 2-story, you can hear it creak when you get to a certain step. And so I just remember at night, I slept close to the stairs. That's where the room was. I would hear it creak almost every night. And I'm like, oh, someone's getting close to the stairs again. Because it was nighttime and everyone should be asleep. My parents slept downstairs. My sisters and I, my brother upstairs. And my cousins too. pero nada. No one was there. And I'm like, it's fine. Then the one day I really, really got freaked out. Someone like slammed the door. Like the door was already hard to push in. Mm-hmm. And I was just in the room and all of a sudden we just hear a boom. And se abrió la puerta sola. And then after that, I love to watch scary movies. Antes, I would like geek out on all of that. And then after that started happening and I had crazy dreams, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm done.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's on the south side in Des Moines.
I got a house on the east side.
Yes.
It's actually my suegro's house. I'm so sorry. I'm afraid to be there. No, it's like one time there is, so we always joke because they've had certain situations happen and to them they're just like, whatever, you know, like, para que tenerle miedo a los muertos? Mm-hmm. You should be scared of los vivos. And so one time we were watching a scary movie and our dog, Yogi, they have like a closet that just has curtains. It doesn't have a door, just a curtain. And he's standing in front of it, and all of a sudden we hear him like start kind of going like, and like we turn around and we're like, Yogi, like, you know, and he's just standing there like se ponía con like sus patitas, like if he's about to attack, you know, like when a dog does that, like there's something there. And I look at Jesus and I'm like, what is wrong with him and who's there, you know? Mm-hmm. And he just like is going like he's about to bark. And then all of a sudden he just like screams and backs up. He's like, oh, and backs up and like takes off. And we could see like the curtain like como un aire. And I was like, wow. I like remember it so clearly that every time we go back and talk about it, they're like, no, that didn't happen. I was like, we all saw that.
Yeah.
Like we
okay,
saw
we can
that.
say that, but we all know.
That's a crazy thing too, that animals see. Yeah, they're very sensitive and they can see that.
That's very true.
Chase, like every now and then he would just stare off at something. He just looked. We're like, Chase, what is it, bud? And he just, I'm like, oh man. I'm like, show me. I'm like, Antonio, Jaded, come
You're
back.
like, not in my new house.
No, it wasn't in that house. It was in the house we used to live
really?
in. Yeah. And he would just do that. So every now and then we'd see him. We're like, he must sense something.
That's scary. For me, that's the scariest because it's like, dang, my dang dog. Like, you see something in my dining room?
Yeah.
Like, should I not go?
Right.
I've heard, I was going to comment on it. It's never happened to me, but on mis primas, la pasado, where I forget what it's called, but they can't wake up and they feel stuck. Like,
oh, the sleep paralysis?
The sleep paralysis. Yes. That to me sounds so wild.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy.
I've had that happen a few times.
You have?
Yeah, girl. And it's crazy because every time it does happen, or just a few times that it has, it's only when I'm sleeping on the couch. Like,
interesting.
Like, not in bed or nothing, like in the couch is when I'll start. Like, you'll be able to see. Like, I remember at my parents' house, I slept upstairs and I could see, and like, I felt like my eyes were open, but obviously they were closed, but I couldn't move. Like, I just felt like something was on top of me, and I felt like really scared. The feeling was like of something there. So I just remember I just put my hands like this and I started praying and prayed until like se me espantó or something.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference, like, where I think like that would have been less scary to me, like to fall asleep first and then wake up and have that feeling. But I never fell asleep. You know, I got home, went downstairs, and as soon as I lay down, I felt like
the
body on top. Yeah.
Really?
So so I think it would have been different, and then I would have been like, oh, it was a nightmare or something. You know, made it. It would have made more sense in my head. But yeah, till this day, I'm like, nope, not messing with that stuff again.
Have you guys heard about? And this is something I didn't like. Everything I learn is always way, way later in life. But like owls. Oh yeah. Like owls following you. So stories back in the day. Again, I learned this all from mis suegros. They believe that the owls are like witches, people following you, and that they can like literally convert. And they've seen it where one was attacking their mom por la ventana, tratando de sacarla. And so like they would fight them, and like it's crazy. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I can't fathom that because I've never seen that or felt that. But again, I go back, why would they lie to me about this? You know?
Right.
In El Rancho, it's like very pertinent. They said that ahorita, that there's a lot more light. There's a lot, like, it's not like how it was back then. But I
Yeah.
was just curious if you guys have heard about
There's some
owls and what it
crazy-
means.
There's
Not
some
owls.
crazy videos out there about that too.
For owls.
Yeah, owls and witches that have been sighted in Mexico, or
Yeah.
that's scary. I've heard the same thing, and I've also heard like you can't look at them. Like you can't look at them in the eye.
Yes.
Owls?
Yeah, and I've also heard if you hear or see one that's close to you howling, that means because someone's gonna die.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I've heard.
That's what I heard too. We actually, it was crazy. We went to, where was it? Kansas City, about like a month ago, and it was a group of friends, and my cuñadas, and we had parked in a parking lot kind of down the street. It was at night because we were going to go to some of the bars there. And then when we come back, we had parked right next to one of those
Like a light post?
like a light post, and there's an owl just sitting there looking down. Like, it was the craziest thing ever, because I've never seen one like that close. And I'm like, scared, trying not to look at it. I'm like, let's go. We get in the car and we dipped. But I've heard that same thing. I've heard a really bad what's it, is it a lechuza different? Oh, es lo
It's like
mismo.
an owl.
Porque ahí the way that they howl is different. And I've heard one where even Jesus and I, in our old home, we would hear one because there was a tree right next to our window. Y luego se escuchaba tan feo. Like, we would, like, there was one time that we did hear something, one of the owls, and it was so bad. Like, Jesus, like, he never gets scared. He was
scared.
like, did you hear that? I was like, yes. I'm like, but
No thanks.
That was Bella.
us.
Girl, don't ever look
I'm like,
That is
yo, I'm
funny.
getting scared. Never mind. Good energy. Let's talk about happy things. That's our cue.
Yeah.
Uh,
There was. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, girl.
No, I was gonna say there's like a couple. One that I have in mind. One was here and also at our home in Perry. But my brother came home after like being with his girlfriend who was in high school, or maybe he was out of high school. But anyways, came home, and then he didn't turn the lights on because you don't need to, because the street light comes through the window a little bit, so you could kind of like see. So he walks in the front door, sees my little brother sitting on the couch, just like the TV's not on, and anything. He's like, "Mana, what are you doing? Like, go to bed." You know, so he gets up and then goes into my brother's bedroom, the one that just walked in. So he's like, walked in after him, turned the light on to tell him, like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't your room. And there was nobody there.
Oh, heck
Yeah.
no.
Girl.
I know.
I'm not going to Perry.
I know.
Wow.
And then una historia que me contó mi mamá hace mucho y nos contaba, not anymore because about la iglesia, so she probably wouldn't repeat it, you know, but nos contaba que, so her and her sister, when they were younger, las mandaban a traer tortilla, so iban a traer tortillas y había un callejón, you know,
An alley.
yeah, an alley, and then que miraron like a big black bull, like right there in the middle. A bull.
Okay.
Yeah, a black bull. Ya ves que tienen ojos rojos or whatever, apparently. So it's there in their way, and she said that they were throwing rocks at it, trying to get it to move or whatever. It wouldn't move out of the way. So then they weren't sure what to do. Like, he was just there, like, and then so one of the ellos was like, we should pray, you know? And so they started praying, and that se convirtió según in like a blackbird and like flew away.
Really? I believe that. I have, hasta mi sobrino has told me stories about them like walking home, like in Mexico, and all of a sudden their walk turns into like hours, and they like get home to them. It's like really quick, but their mom was like, ¿Por qué te tardaste tanto? And they're like, well, what do you mean? It didn't. I went the same route that I returned the same route that I went.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I don't know what they went through, but like they started taking off, they started running. Like, it's just crazy. También mi suegro tells me stories about like him back in the day where he would like basically be taken, and he had to find his like girl.
No.
And Mexico is a whole,
It's a whole other-
Yeah.
a ton.
Why do you think that is? Is it because people are more like open to it and believe it, that
I
they
think so.
that it attracts it?
Yeah.
So we're like, here, you tell somebody half of these stories, they're like,
I look
I
at
don't
yeah,
believe
está
you.
loca. Yeah.
Yeah.
Put in a psych word.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I think so. Do y'all go to haunted houses?
Not anymore, girl.
Not after today. No, I was kidding.
Right?
Not after
not really.
watching, there was this movie that I watched before after we went to a haunted house, and it was so scary. I'm gonna have to tell you guys what it is later. But if you decide to go, watch the movie first and then go to the haunted house.
You said
Well,
first the
thanks.
haunted house.
Hell
and
House,
then
I think. Hell House.
Oh,
Yes.
Hell House.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
go anymore.
Girl. I was gonna say one of the stories that it's not scary to me, but I feel like maybe a lot of people out there can relate is like when you have family that passes and you still feel and hear them at home. En la casa de Mexico que tenemos, one of my family members, I want to say my uncle, passed away in one of the rooms, and él tenía un bastón. So every now and then, like at night, you'll hear the bastón like if he's walking. And for the longest time when I was little, it would scare me because I'm like, yo no lo conocí, and just hearing something scares me, you know. But ahora it's like,
cane.
yeah, and then the cane, and ahora it's just like, you know,
You're like, hey, what's up, fam?
yeah, like here you are.
My mom says that after my dad died, when she would be walking, she could hear footsteps next to her.
Really?
Nothing, especially like on gravel. You could really tell on gravel when someone's behind you. She'd be walking and like looking, it's like nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
I had
So-
similar with my mom too. When my dad passed, she was sitting in the living room in our house, and she just felt like somebody, like she could hear somebody coming up the stairs from the basement, and she like, the way that she explained it is like, los pasos sabía que era mi papá.
The way
Based
the
on
people
who you
walk.
are.
See,
Yeah.
the way, and so all of a sudden, like, she was just facing the door, like esperando que subiera, and she just saw like a little whoosh, and went upstairs. So my mom, like, obviously at first, this was like when he first passed, and it was a little scary for her, and she was like, but now, like, when she feels that, like, she goes after it, like she'll feel it, you know.
Yeah.
So like those type of things, it's still kind of scary though to kind of go through that. But
My mom told me when she was growing up, because su mamá passed when she was 2 years old, 2 or 3 years old. And so they still lived in their house. Y estaban en un cuarto allá en Mexico, but that she would hear footsteps. Y it sounded like alguien estaba arrastrando cuando estaba caminando. But I guess the way my grandma would walk is what she was told is when she would wear her slippers, it's like arrastraba los pies. So then what would happen is she heard it the very first time, went through to her door, and then it just stopped right next to her bed. Obviously, she was freaked out at that time until later on le habían dicho that it was probably your mom.
I think situations like that, it's a little comforting for me, at least.
yeah,
Like when my dad passed, I went through 3 things. So one, after he passed, there was a paloma that would just come and visit, and he just walks not up and down or across our roof, el pico de nuestro roof, and he would just walk back and forth.
Yeah.
And then the other one is one time there was a balloon. I think it was during like the Day of the Dead, and this balloon would just move. Like it would just move. And so I'm like, huh. And I had a feeling like to just ask, like, Dad, is that you? Like le dije, Dad, si eres tú,
Out loud.
come to me, you know? And then the balloon would just slowly come to me. So I find it really cool, just, you know, that experience. And then the other thing is, after he passed, similar to like your story with your dad, I would smell his scent. My dad had a specific scent de un cologne that he used to wear. For like the first 2 months, I would smell his cologne.
God.
So I think that's really cool.
We need to
like,
find
in that aspect.
We need to find a medium.
I would love.
Ooh,
But looks, I haven't heard of one in Des Moines.
Like,
We would have. We would
I'm gonna
know.
record, y'all. I haven't, gracias a Dios, have yet to lose someone really close. So I didn't really get to meet my grandpas, or my grandmas. 'Cause it passed when I was really little. Pero gracias a Dios. So that's why I'm like, I don't know, but I'll watch y'all.
I would be so down. I was gonna share with you guys too, and I don't know if this is like my family trying to get me scared and stuff, but so my dad was born in un rancho, right? And they have like tons of acres at the time. It's just like grass and trees and everything everywhere. And las casitas que donde vivían, like como ya tenían años sin vivir allí, like my mom fixed them up, got them all ready. So when we went camping there, and it was the first time we stayed. And like el rancho, like there's no lights, nothing. Like there's no Wi-Fi, like nada.
She said no Wi-Fi.
And so and so I was like, let's just camp out, you know? And so we tenemos las dos casitas así, en medio, we put the tent. And I was like, well, I want a tent because usually when you go camping, you could tent. And so like mi mamá and my siblings, they all stayed in the rooms and I stayed in the tent with my other nieces and nephews. And so like they would tell me like there's certain times donde te tienes que meter because like you do see witches kind of like moving around. Yeah. And they, you know, si estás afuera, like they will take you. And so I was like, what? And then I started seeing videos of like people recording that, you know? And so I was like, shoot, maybe it is true. Inside? Yeah, girl, we went straight into the tent. And then I remember the next day I told my siblings, I was like, why did you guys stay up so late? Porque yo escuchaba que hablaban y quién sabe qué. And they were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I could hear you guys. I was like, por eso no podía dormir. And he's like, no, todos se fueron a dormir. And I was like, so then I just stayed quiet and I was like, okay.
I'd start praying again.
Like, lesson learned.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to hear any other stories from our listeners. What really resonates? Have you heard or seen anything yourself? And it's spooky season. Let's do it.
Let's end in spooky season.
Be Halloween soon.
Yes. Do you guys know what you're going to dress up as?
Probably nothing. I don't like dressing up.
What, girl?
I know. That's when you said at 16 hours, I'm like,
Oh, that's so fun.
Yes.
I don't know yet, but something.
Same here.
Yeah,
Let's throw in the
I don't know
party.
either.
Me.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Party at Maria's.
Party at my house. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you guys tuning in every single week to listen to our all we got to say.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all.
And cut.
This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Amplified.